And still on the BBI report, I'm now joined by Tom Ojanga, who is a political strategist and also a political analyst. And Karibu.
Thank you very much.
And because of the interest of time, straight to the discussion. We have seen some legislators in Naivasha, and conspicuously absent were legislators allied to the DP. What do you make of it?
Well, I can't comment on that because I don't know the circumstances that led to that. But nevertheless, what I need to say is the BBI is a very, very good document for this country. It's a very good initiative for this country. The product of the BBI, the document, is a very good thing. And as you know, of course, it seeks to unite the country and also to provide a stable environment for development and growth going forward. So seen from that perspective, it's a very good thing and must be supported. However, I think that you cannot seek to unite the country. Let me put it this way. BBI has got three parts. Number one is the initiative, which is a project. Then the product of the project, which is the report. And then there's the implementation part.
Yes.
So the Building Bridges initiative is not contested because everybody seeks unity in this country. Everybody supports the idea that we should be unified as a country and we should have a stable environment that would enable capital to grow, wealth to be created, right? The report has got several recommendations. Of course, we are a nation of many people. It's not expected that everybody will agree with every section or every segment of the report. But most importantly, we cannot use a binary process which is divisive to accomplish the goals of an initiative that seeks unity.
Indeed. And talking about we cannot be divided, a delicate balancing act. Some people talking about we need some of these things factored in. Women legislators have raised issues. People living with disabilities have raised issues. Even the senators have raised issues. Do you have the time to go back to the drawing board and factor in all the comments or even all the recommendations some people are suggesting in the report?
There are two things. I mean, first and foremost, we need to have what we have implemented, right?
Yes.
And in a situation like this, there will always be additions that are needed, and those can come later. But most importantly, we need to figure out how to implement in a way that is not dividing the country what we have today, which was launched and endorsed on the 26th. So I think this is critical. We need to make steps that would lead us to have that guaranteed or that unity that we seek to have, right?
Yes.
The rest can then come on top. But there are many ways to achieve that. You could have a binary matrix in which citizens are allowed to digitally score the different sections. And that would result into a very non-contentious, BBI endgame.
And how possible is it as everybody, some people are talking about, no, that window was already closed, you guys never raised your concern in good time. Is it really possible? Do we have that time? Remember, we also have the 2022 general elections that have less than 2 years.
One of the problems we've had in this country is that every 5 years we have a cycle of instability.
Yes.
And as you know, capital fears instability, and therefore we actually stagnate our growth through that. So it's important that the BBI is implemented before elections, so that we do not get into the next election with a very poisoned environment. So I think everybody, the political establishment in this country, must be willing to give and take.
Yes.
At the end of it all, we all seek that unity. We need that stability, and therefore we need to move forward towards that.
And looking at the BBI report, and of course, Haji team has almost completed their work, and there are other people who will be tasked to pick it from there. What will be the mandate of those people who will now steer the process from where we are right now? Because all what we have now is the document.
Yes, I think the mandate should be that they have the BBI report implemented in a way that does not divide the country. That should be paramount. Because if we have a divisive implementation process, then we negate the initial idea and objective of the BBI, which is to unite the country. So we cannot unite the country by having a divisive process. You know, that would negate us. So I think the core mandate should be to have the implementation of the BBI report in such a way that the country does not end up divided. I think that's really key.
Yeah. Yes. And there are calls that people should read. Actually, the clarion call by the president and the former premier is that get the document and read it. Some people have raised concern about the civic education. Others have raised concern about the document should be translated to local dialects so that all the Wananchis can actually understand the contents of the document. We have even had that time.
There should be. I mean, everybody supports the Building Bridges initiative. Not everybody is in support of the entire content. I mean, the sections that people support, other sections of entire content of the report. But political leaders must take it upon themselves to sensitize the people they represent so that we move forward as a country that is united. You understand what I mean? So yes. It has to, it must involve political leadership. It must involve the various organs that have been created to see that this happens, so that the people on the ground also get to have an understanding of this. Yes.
And indeed, let's get the figures. The IEBC talking about we're going to spend 14 billion, and the former premier talking about no, it's about 2 billion. The cost, actually, the 14 and 2 billion seem to be two very big disparities.
Yeah, but
the cost of
you
democracy.
can only talk about the cost of implementation if you know the method of implementation. You know, because
so
on what basis have they done the calculation, the cost estimation? You understand? So that's talk which is very irrelevant at this moment in time. First and foremost, we must all agree on how we are going to implement the report of the Building Bridges initiative and how we are going to seek that unity. That's very important. And then we can talk about the methods and how much that costs. But I think it's not the right time to start talking about cost, because it's when it's scary. Everybody wants unity.
Yes. And we have seen political leaders and party leaders, the likes of Moses Masika Wetangula, we've seen Mudavadi, we've seen Ngilu, all party leaders actually drumming up support for the BBI. Is it a big boost, and especially coming from leaders who have their own political parties and interests as well?
Yes. I mean, they should do that. That's what is expected of them. As a matter of fact, every Kenyan should support the initiative, because the initiative seeks to unite the country. Just on that basis, every Kenyan should support the initiative. You know, without unity, without stability, we can't have economic growth, and we can't have a better society for ourselves. So we need to. The BBI should lay the foundation for unity and stability going forward. From that angle, we should all accept and support the BBI. The most contentious issue is, however, the implementation. If you go through a referendum that is contested, then you negate the purpose of the BBI.
And of course, we've seen a delicate balancing act, some hardline stance, and both sides are talking about we need to come together at a common ground. Let's meet at a common ground. Is it really possible? You're hearing that if you're not going to do this, we are not going to do this. We are not going to pass. You've had some of the stories that we have run.
Yeah.
How can we actualize a common ground?
I think political rhetoric should be toned down, because we all need this unity, we all need this stability. It's important for, I mean, you know it, capital does not thrive where there is instability. You need capital to be able to create wealth for this country. You need to protect what we already have, and we need to give room for the creation of more capital and growth, right? And that is not possible without unity and without stability. And that's what the BBI seeks. So we should move away from from political contest. There's no political contest in the BBI because the country needs unity and stability. There shouldn't be any political contest in that. However, the new team must then move forward to accommodate everybody so that we get to have a document that unites us before we go for elections in 2022.
Indeed. And what would be the role of the House leadership? Of course, we've seen a couple of months ago there were changes in the House leadership, and especially in steering, because this document will still end up in Parliament. And we've seen Amos Kimunya, of course, talking about, yes, we need to be passing, and of course his counterpart at the Senate talking about the same.
We should stop suspicion first. We must have the goodwill to trust our leaders to do the right thing for the country. We have the tendency of creating suspicions where there should be none. But the leadership of Parliament have been chosen by the various political formations to do what they have to do. And I think, from what I saw on the 26th, is that every political formation agrees that the BBI is an important thing for this country, and it's an important initiative, an important document. The report that it produced is an important document for this country. So from there, let's pick it from there and push it forward and get this country moving forward.
Are we likely to see a political, perhaps, amalgamation or political alignments in line with the 2022 election, which is less than 2 years ago, and especially when it comes to the BBI report?
I think if we implement the report and if we create unity, there will be a lot of opportunity for political formations to form coalitions and to merge, maybe, because then those things that divide us shall have been eliminated, so that we then focus on political ideology, political programs, as opposed to those little things that have divided this country for the longest time possible, like tribalism, and those other sums that exist here.
Do you think, as we wind up, do you think that we can have that non-contested referendum? Because earlier on we had talked about a non-contested referendum, and you said very well, if we don't have if we have a contested referendum, it beats the logic of the building bridges.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think it's possible to have a non-contested referendum. There are also many other ways to reach consensus without necessarily having these acrimonious discussions that we experience day in, day out. So I think the political leadership must take it upon themselves to move towards conversation that unites the country, as opposed to rhetoric that divides the country.
Indeed. And unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining us and for your insight, Tom. We have been talking to Tom Ojanga, who is a political strategist and also a political analyst, just trying to shed light on some of the things that have transpired since the document was released or was launched on Monday last week to today, with the politics going on and on. And of course, talking about politics, we also have the COVID issue that is all over the county, with today actually crossing the 1,000 mark. Thank you so much for watching.